Horror games. Why do people like to torture themselves with horror games? I got no goddamn idea why. I guess we're just dumb like that. But it is Halloween season and horror games are quite vital part of that. Same as horror movies, except horror games, they're way more interactive, so they freak me out way more. And I hate them. I think we've established on this channel plenty of times that I am a bit of a pussy when it comes to horror games, so this is gonna be kind of my most generic list ever. I haven't really dived into horror games, too many different types of horror games throughout my life that much. I played more on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era horror games, but I do have some more modern horror games here on this list too, but they're all pretty predictable, big hitters, and when it comes down to it, I just don't wanna get my ticker tilting at this age yet. At least give me like 3 more years. Anyway, I'm here to list my top 7 favorite horror games. Let's start this list. Number 7. There is nothing to fear except fear itself. Because number 7 is F.E.A.R. F.E.A.R. Now, fear is the thing that keeps a person moving forward. Also, F.E.A.R. is a first-person shooter, except it's got horror themes. And I fucking hate it. I mean, it's a great game, but I fucking hate it. There's a lot of action, you're shooting regular people, which is great, I do appreciate that, but then they throw in the mix one of those goddamn Japanese long-haired, black-haired little girls, and she just pops up and torments you and scares the shit out of you every now and then. And that is... It's creepy, I swear to God, I almost died of heart attack, probably like 50 times during my playthrough of this game. I played it through once, and that was back in the days, and no, I'm not touching it again. There's also 2 sequels, and I played the second one's demo. I don't know, the demo just didn't really hit me, so I skipped that. Then there's F.E.A.R. 3, which I believe is just not really that scary anymore, and it's just pushing more towards action overall. But the original F.E.A.R., that was groundbreaking. That put, things in the new perspective when it comes to not just horror games, but first-person shooter games. It was revolutionary back when it was released. I remember playing it at a friend's place and holy shit, it looked fantastic. I had the game on computer for myself too at some point, so that's when I actually played it through, but I did try it at friend's place first, and they introduced those slow motions. I'm not sure if there might have been slow motions before that in first-person shooters, but they were never as stylish and as cool as in that game. It was so smooth, and just the way things probe when you were in a firefight shooting around, and then that goddamn girl came and ruined everything. It was a fun action game, but no, the girl just had to be there like, that's a nice action game you're playing there. Would be shame if someone just showed up and made you shit your pants. Fuck. I hated that girl. Great fucking first-person shooter game. Also, great fucking horror game. I love that game. It is so goddamn good, just the mood and everything. You never know when she's gonna pop out, and that was, that one actually, I love it because it had the action, you had gun and, great gunplay and all that, you were shooting enemies and all that. It wasn't just like these modern-day horror games. I fucking hate those. They're all like walking simulators. I don't play those much because I hate those. But yeah, you're just walking around in a house and there's something creepy that pops out and you're just running away. But this one had more meat, more depth to it, I think F.E.A.R. was just revolutionary overall. It took first-person shooting and horror and blended them into a near-perfect experience when it comes to both genres. I love it. I highly recommend it, but goddammit, I hate those long-haired, black long-haired little girls, like in the garage or the ring, I gotta say, and I gotta give some props here, I think Japan did more in a fight against kitty diddling than any other country, cause they made kids creepy as shit. They never get enough credit for that. You go, Japan. You're fighting an important fight, and let's move on. Don't wanna make this too long. Number 6 on my list, we're gonna take a little vacation onto an island where everyone's dead. Can you guess what the name of the game is? Dead Island. Yeah, it's not the most original or the most inventive name ever, but that's the game. It's an island and there are a bunch of zombies, and oh boy, it's so great. I love it. It's kind of, you might say it's kind of stiff and clunky, the first one. I'm talking about the first one. I played the second one. That one didn't really hit me that well, so I never even finished it. I did enjoy my time, and I should go back at some point and play through. But the first one, I just loved the overall atmosphere, and there's something, I don't know, endearing about how clunky it is. I mean, it was still kind of freaky. I'm like I said, I'm pussy. It's one of those games that zombie games are kind of, not a lot of people think they're creepy, but sometimes, you know, I do let the kind of growlings and all that from the zombies get into my head a bit too much, so I have to take a little break, because I just hate when I hear that behind wall or some other room, you know, it gets into my head. Sounds are my worst enemy when it comes to horror games. I've actually played some horror games where I put, like, I don't know, ABBA playing in the background, Dancing Queen, and I'm fucking bashing zombies in the head. It helps me. The sounds ain't good for my head, you know. When you start hearing weird sounds, you start doing weird shit, you know, like burning orphanage and pushing grandmas down a hill, eating too much salt. So anyway, you're on this island, and this one has more kind of RPG elements to it. You know, you're leveling up, you get, you know, skill points and all that, or skills at least. Now that I think about it, I actually don't remember if your like strengths and all those got. I think it was just health, and well, screw it. You get better the more level you get. Also, there are weapons which also have levels, you know, that's kind of neat, and you can build all kinds of crazy wacky things, you know, like baseball bats that electrocute and shit like that. There were all kinds of do-it-yourself weapons, and yeah, I really loved that aspect in that game too, you know. It just kind of felt more immersive, because you were on that island, you were scavenging places, and you were finding stuff you could use to improve your weapons, and you know, you were leveling up, and it was just really fun. You know, there were different kinds of zombies. There were those slow mofos, and then there was fast mofos, which I hate. Fast zombies in movies, that's kind of like a no disqualification match in wrestling, you know. Lazy riding. Fast zombies are lazy riding. There, I say. Because it's easier to make things more intense when you have, you know, running zombies. So screw that, you know. I want my horror to crawl slowly. But yeah, Dead Island, I love it. Kill zombies? Good. Number 5 on this list is it getting foggy in here? Silent Hill, the first one. Oh, I loved it back when it came out. The demo, I don't even remember how many times I played through just the demo. When I had a disc that had Silent Hill 1 demo, which is why I was able to play it so many times. But it was just this little piece from the school, and there were these little babies, their spirits that were just walking around. You couldn't kill those and they didn't attack, but they were creepy as shit. I don't get, why didn't they bring back those little dead baby thingies, you know, back in the later games? Or I missed those, because I don't remember seeing those. They were kind of funny. They kept making this weird sound too. I don't actually remember, but I do remember there were some weird sounds. First Silent Hill follows Harry Mason, who is the lucky bastard who gets to adventure in that foggy, goddamn creepy little town. First, I think there was a car accident at the start of the game, and his daughter, adoptive daughter, goes missing. So there's the town of Silent Hill right next to Harry, so he goes into the town looking for his daughter, adoptive daughter, and yeah, turns out there are some cult members, and things get weird, and man, I just really love the writing and the storytelling in the first Silent Hill 2. I think that's kind of underrated. It always gets kind of, everyone's always talking about Silent Hill 2, but I think Silent Hill 1 was just kind of a masterpiece on its own. And one aspect people don't talk about much when it comes to Silent Hill games, which is I think one of their best aspects, is the soundtrack. In the first one, I think that one has probably my favorite soundtrack. It's just, I love it. It's so goddamn good in the first Silent Hill, and I think I got that soundtrack memorized because me and my friends, when we're drinking, we sometimes do these music quizzes from games and movies, you know. We put on some soundtrack music, and others have to guess where it's from, and there's one friend, you can get probably like 50% of the answers right if you just say Silent Hill. But Silent Hill 1, I played that through probably like a dozen times. There's 4 different endings. Actually, 5 different endings. There's their joke ending too. I loved that. It was so good. And I think Silent Hill was also groundbreaking when it comes to horror genre. It gave us the fog thing, and just, I think it did some of the third-person survival horror stuff actually even better than Resident Evil did back in PlayStation 1 era. Just whole different setting, whole different type of evil. It actually gave us some interesting writing, because let's face it, Resident Evils, love those games, but when it comes to the writing side, they're a bit cheesy, and I love it, but they are cheesy. But yeah, Silent Hill 1, that's good. Then we get to number 4 on my list, and this is technically 2 games. I couldn't decide which version I like better. Both have their kind of things that I prefer. And in these games, you're out in space, and everyone's dead. Can you guess what it's called? The Thing. No. Dead Space. There was a remake. I loved it. It was fucking fantastic. EA really came through. This once at least, you know, you gotta make a great game at least once a decade, cause they really don't like making great games these decades. Apparently, I don't know. But Dead Space, ooh, that was creepy as shit. Dead Space was probably the last most terrifying game I played, you know. It was like, that was truly terrifying, the first one. Well, actually the remake too, you know, I played the remake and it made my Game of the Year list on some spot, I can't remember what, but yeah, you're in a space station. All the people there have pretty much turned into these weird kind of, what were those? I keep forgetting the enemy's name, some kind of necro dead things which are kind of fucked up human beings, you know. They don't have like regular arms, they have like fucking swords and shit, and there's all kinds of different beasts out there in the space station you're trying to survive in. But yeah, they nailed the atmosphere. It was so good. Just the sound design is really good in that game. You hear all kinds of creepy crawlies in the walls and upper decks and lower decks, and that was one of those games I played from save point to a save point, took a little breather, then played from save point to a save point, took a little bit longer breather, then save point to a save point. Fuck it, I'm playing Mario, and then I'm going to sleep. But it's just so goddamn interesting, the whole world, and just I love body horror. Body horror is great. Body horror is probably one of my favorite horror genres. It looks disgusting, and this game just did it so good, and just all the stuff, you know, you see signs of the crew going insane and just becoming murderers and deforming into these beings, and you gotta chop them to pieces. That's awesome. I love chopping stuff to pieces in games, not in real life. That reminds me, I gotta clean up my basement. But yeah, in Dead Space, you're chopping all kinds of monsters. And when I said I can't really decide between the original and the remake, well, here's the thing. Both have their ups and downs. Well, actually, they don't really have too much downs, but both have aspects that I prefer over the other one. The remake, obviously, gameplay is better. It's more smoother and it looks better overall, the game. And they added some sections in that which, well, I'm not sure I wanted to hang out in the space station longer, so that could be counted as a negative or positive depending what you want from life. And I want to live, I don't want heart attacks, so I want to get in, get out as quickly as possible. But they also added more voice acting from the main protagonist, Isaac. I can't remember his last name. Isaac. Or maybe that was his last name. Anyway, the main protagonist talks more. Then when it comes to the original, I actually kind of like that he's kind of more silent type. I think it adds more to the mystery. I don't really like him babbling too much. I really preferred him as more silent, strong protagonist. And I think him being more silent, it just kind of raises more questions, you know, whether he's losing his mind or stuff like that. When you don't hear him talk constantly all the time, you don't get to analyze his voice. He's behind this mask. You can't see his face much of the time. So I think that actually added some psychological horror aspect into it, in the main character's psyche. I really preferred that over the more talkative protagonist. Also, the original is shorter. I like that. Anyway, Dead Space. Love him. Great. Number 3 on this list is, probably no surprise it's on this list, it's Resident Evil 4. Probably the most loved Resident Evil game in the series. I haven't actually played the remake. It's on my shopping list, but at this point, I'm just gonna wait until I find a good sale or something and grab it then, because I think it's like 40 still, so you know, I don't know, that's kind of on the border, do I want to buy it or not? Digitally it was cheaper, but me no like it digitally. I'm a collector, damn it. I kill fish and turtles with plastic. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, which was, back when it came out, it was also groundbreaking and revolutionary in the genre of survival horror, and it just kind of flipped the whole Resident Evil genre upside down, you know. It became a third person survival horror game. The Resident Evil games before that were always these fixed camera angles and, you know, tank controls and shit like that, so they weren't really the most smoothest games when it comes to that, but Resident Evil 4, it really just kind of did a whole new thing, and it originally came for GameCube, I believe was the first console it came for, and I think the GameCube version might still be one of the best versions of the game, at least the original. I haven't played the remake, like I said, but the original, yeah, I played it on that, I played it on PlayStation 2, loved both. The GameCube version was better, but it was still really good on PlayStation 2. Doesn't really matter which version you go for, they're both gonna be great. This is one of those games that has been covered probably by everyone who's at least even a little bit into horror games so many times on YouTube and everywhere else, because it is iconic game. It just revolutionized the genre. It was great. Well, first of all, it's really cheesy writing. President's daughter in a little village in Spain for some weird reason, and it's that's the difference between Silent Hill and Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil is just cheesy as shit, where Silent Hill has this more psychological approach, I believe, in the horror and all that. It's just the writings, I feel like it's miles better in Silent Hill series than Resident Evil series. I couldn't give two shits about Resident Evil story. It is there, it's a reason to go on a rampage, kill zombies, and yeah. But Resident Evil 4, let's just move on. Now number 2 on my list, and now we get to a little twist. Everyone thinks Resident Evil 4 is the best Resident Evil out there, when it's not. Actually, my favorite Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 2 Remake. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by myself too, but it was a really fucking fantastic game. Who would have believed? I got the collector's edition, I have unboxing, you can see it here. Fantastic box. It cost, when I bought it, it was the most expensive collector's edition I got at that point, and haven't regretted it. It's great. Got the Leon statue. It's fantastic. It's so big, it's so good, it's so dusty. But yeah, Resident Evil series. On PlayStation 1, I loved those. I thought nothing could ever top those. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3. 3 was actually probably my favorite out of those. I kind of skipped 2 for the longest time. I came back to it and played it, like 10 years after release or something like that. I had tried it, but I never beat it. After like 10 years of the release or something like that, I went back and I gave it a proper try, and it was fantastic. And the first one was also near my heart, because that was actually the first proper horror game I think I ever really played, or at least had on my own. Yeah, I remember freaking the fuck out as a kid when I was playing that. Why would they make games like this? Come on, what's wrong with Japanese people? You trying to kill Westerners with heart attacks? I know we're fatter than you, but come on, you don't have to play with our pumps. Jesus. Actually, I was always a really skinny kid, which might be the reason why I'm still alive. Why am I holding this like I just won an Oscar? But Resident Evil 2 Remake, they just built Resident Evil 2 from the ground up, totally revamped the whole game, all the controls, graphics, everything, settings. It became third-person survival horror game. It wasn't no more, static camera angles and tank controls. It was just, it looked good when you shoot zombies in the head. They were like pieces falling off, and it looked so good, so brutal. And still, it was scary as fuck, that cop station. It was dark. There were no lights. Why did they always gotta go for the lights? Just make some kind of foolproof lighting system. You gotta think ahead if there's gonna be some psychos or zombies or some shit. Make the lights so they don't go out. Lighting's really important. But it was brutal. I really love how they designed the monsters again in that, the famous liquor and all those. They look great, disgusting. Boss fights were great. It's just, well, the writing was Resident Evil level writing. It is what it is. But man, I really loved the game. It's so good. I think I kind of want to beat it again. Also, there's that big dude who's constantly, following you around the place. You hear those footsteps. That is creepy. And I do have to say, I kind of preferred Nemesis in 3. I haven't played Resident Evil 3's remake, but I heard it's worse than Resident Evil 2 remake, so I don't know, I just never pulled the trigger on that. So, Resident Evil 2 remake, it's fantastic. I love it. They really did a great job rebuilding that whole game, and I tip my hat to Capcom. You really nailed it. Love that collector's edition. It was so good, so good. Then we get to number 1 on this list, and we're going back to the foggy little town, Silent Hill. And no, it's not Silent Hill 3, you crazy Canadians. No, I'm talking about Silent Hill 2, the original. Canadians will understand that. Well, at least one Canadian, but Silent Hill 2. What can be said about Silent Hill 2 that hasn't already been said about Silent Hill 1? Well, first of all, it doesn't have those cool little dead babies, which is a downside. Now, there's a weird sentence I never thought I'd say during my lifetime. Lack of dead babies make game worse. But it's not worse game, that's why it's number 1 here. And number 1 is number 4 here. Same idea, man walks into a foggy town looking for someone. This time, it's dead wife. Basically completely new story, new characters and all that. You know, it's like anthology series Silent Hill, except in third one they kind of went back into Silent Hill 1, continued that storyline kind of, so I like the anthology thing more. You know, you could make a lot of Silent Hill games where just tormented people who have something that they need to get some resolution just happen to get it in the town of Silent Hill because they're fucked up people and they deserve to find out things in the most fucked up ways possible, I guess. They're not all fucked up. Again, the writing is so goddamn good. I love it when it comes to Silent Hill games. It's so... there's the mystery and just... they put more effort than in Resident Evil games, like I said before already. I mean, the game starts when the main character, James, is at a... I don't know if it was a... it wasn't gas station, it was some parking lot, but there was a bathroom and he's looking at himself through a mirror and talking to himself and just wondering if his dead wife is still in town. So, you know, might as well go pay her a visit. It's a really intriguing start to the game. I was hooked right from the start. It just caught my attention, and again, the musics are great. Musics are fucking fantastic. I still say first one probably had my favorite songs. Now that I think about the overall sound design, I think second one might win that, but first one had some bangers. So off you go in the foggy town, and again, there's gonna be all kinds of creepy crawlers and nurses. You don't wanna grab your balls and make you cough. I never actually really understood what that was all about. They didn't do that. Wait, they did do that. Yeah, I think I got that once done too. I think I was like 8 or 9 and it was this medical van right outside the kids' park. Yeah, it was a free health checkup. Guy grabbed my balls, I had to cough and But again, you meet all kinds of weird, not all there characters during your adventure through the foggy town. Foggy town. I don't want it to sound like a British cigarette. Foggy. But yeah, I also think this is one game that requires a replay from me, because back then I just kind of played it. It was really intriguing story, but I didn't really understand all the nuances when it comes to storytelling. I've read some things. I don't want to go too deep into those things that have been written online that, you know, maybe the characters who James comes in contact with during playthrough of this game might be some kind of projections from him and his wife, you know, things they've gone through or something like that. Like Maria, who resembles James' wife, but she's actually hot, some kind of sexual frustration and needs and desires and all that. It's I kind of want to go back into it. Now they did release the remake. I don't know. I've heard only good things about it. Except, well, the one character's face looks like she swallowed a bunch of bees. But that's pretty much the only negative I've heard. So. But yeah, Silent Hill 2, it's a fantastic game. I love it. It's my all-time favorite horror game. Just the storytelling, the soundtrack, characters, everything works. Love it. I'm just gonna quit this video. You have a great Halloween and fuck off and I'll fuck off and we'll meet back here when I come up with something probably gonna be less spooky stuff, because by the time I release my next long-form video, I think Halloween's over. Kind of shame. I got actually a few more ideas for horror-themed lists and shit. I guess I'll just save those for next year's Halloween and year after that. So, you know, you better hope I live that long, so you'll get to see those. No idea what that was, but I'm not dying or anything. I don't think. Oh, and good for Japan for making kids look creepy. That way they'll get fiddled less. There's a weird tone in this video.